Okay, for this project we're going to use Lion brand wool ease, and depending upon what size, you either need between 2 and 4 skeins of the main color. I used navy for mine, and then a skein of the contrasting color I used natural heather. So use it. You'll also need a size I 5.5 millimeter hook and a size L 8 millimeter hook. Other than that, you'll just need a yarn needle, and if you prefer, you can get a stitch marker. Okay, so this sweater started from the contrasted color saddles and worked from the top down. So depending on the size, please check your written pattern. You're going to either chain 7, 9, or 11. Now, I'm going to be making the size 10 in this video. I made it for my second son, and we made the size 10 for him because that's a little bit big, but he can grow into it. So go ahead and chain. I'm chaining 11. And then we're going to half double crochet into the third chain from the hook. Okay, and these chains here at the end, the turning chain, are going to be also counted as a stitch. And just work a half double crochet all the way down in each chain. Alright, here we are at our last chain. Alright, and you're ready to turn for row 2. Now we're going to be working into the back loop only, so chain 2. This is going to count as our first stitch, so we're going to skip this first half double crochet and work into the back loop only of the next stitch and each stitch across. Okay, when we get down to the end here, we're going to actually work into the chain 2 on each row. So you're going to work into the chain 2, and again, I just work into the back loop of this one, even though I don't think it really matters at the end. Okay, so you can see we've worked in there. Got it. So we're going to turn, chain 2, and you're going to repeat row 2, but I'm going to go through it again with you. So skip this first stitch and work back loop only all the way across. Alright, and after working into this chain 2, you can see that we've got a pattern working out here with the ridges, making a ribbed pattern. So just repeat row 3 until you reach the desired length. Okay, so here I'm done with my saddle. You can see the ribbed texture here by working into the back loop only. And so I said each size will be a little bit different lengthwise. And so just work till your specific length on the written pattern. Okay, so at the end of the second saddle, you're not going to fasten off. So I've got my first one here. Here's the second one. We're going to change to our larger hook. And we're going to also grab our main color. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. And I'm going to grab my main color. And I'm going to join it right here. And we're going to work across the long edge of the saddle. So go ahead and chain 1. And you're going to work evenly across. Now I'm working the size 10. So I'm going to work 9 stitches evenly across my saddle. And pull my yarn tight here. So you just work into the side. It's not terribly important where you do as long as it's pretty even. It usually works out to be just about a 1-to-1 ratio with the number of rows that you do in half double crochet and then the number of stitches you're going to need to work along the side. Okay, and I'm going to work one more right here to round out my 9. And you can see they're pretty evenly spaced. They don't have to be perfect. And now we're going to chain for the back neck. For this size, I'm going to chain 18. And you'll work into these in the next row. Okay, after your chains, grab your first saddle that you made and go ahead and work the same number of stitches across that you did on the other saddle. So for me, on this one, it was 9. And that'll give me a total of 36 stitches for the size 10. Okay, so it's going to look a little weird at first when you get going on this and do the back and the front, but it will work out. So here we are. We're going to turn and we're going to work row 2, and you're just going to work evenly across. So just go ahead and work a single crochet in each stitch and each chain across. Okay, now in row 3, it's going to get a little bit strange. We're going to only work short rows, so we're going to end up not working all the way across and turning back. So for row 3, check the number on your pattern. For me, it's going to be 31 stitches across. And then I'm going to turn and leave the rest of those stitches unworked. Okay, so here we are at the end of this row. You're going to leave all of these stitches here unworked and just turn. We'll come back and get them on the next few rows. Okay, so for row 4, we're going to continue the shaping. So you're going to work back across these stitches that we just worked. And for my size, I'm working 26 stitches across. And again, you will have some left at the end that you won't work. So just single crochet across the desired number of stitches. Okay, we're working it in here. I know this feels kind of strange probably to you, but it does work out. And the ones that I've made this way and the ones my testers have done have all turned out. So when you get to the end, turn. Okay, now row 5, we're going to come back and pick up some of those original stitches that we left. So you're going to crochet all the way across the stitches from the last row. And so for me on row 5, I'm going to end up crocheting 29 stitches. Okay, so we're getting down here to this step, and it's going to be a little strange if you've never worked short rows before. I know it's more of a knitting technique usually, but I found that it works really well for these sweaters. So work all the way to the end, and now you're just going to work the very next stitch down here, just like normal. Okay, and I'm going to continue out my count. And you should have 2 left at the end. These 2 right here. No matter what size you're making, you should have 2 left. And we're going to turn. Okay, row 6 again. Just go ahead and chain 1 and work across. I'm going to work across 32 stitches. So just single crochet across. Okay, same as the last row. You get here near the end. And then just crochet that very next stitch down below. You can see right here. And again, you should have 2 stitches left at the end that are unworked. We're going to come back and get those in the next 2 rows. So here's how it looks kind of worked up. Is kind of strange? Okay, for row 7 and 8, you'll just crochet across. And then you actually will just keep working even until the desired measurement in the written pattern. Okay, so you measure right here from the very center of the saddle down, and I was going for 6 inches. So you can see I've reached that point. Okay, now we're ready to shape the armholes. So for this, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to increase at each end. So you're going to work 2 single crochet in this very first stitch. And then single crochet all the way down to the last stitch. Okay, you're getting to the end of our row. And you're just going to work 2 single crochet into this very last stitch. If you're working the size 10 and 12, you're going to repeat this. Okay, just increase right there. Repeat it if you're working the larger sizes. Otherwise, you're ready to move on to row 2. Okay, so rows 2 and 3 are exactly the same. You're going to chain 3. And now we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Mine tend to be a little tight. And the next chain. And then we're going to work even in single crochet all the way to the end. So we're adding 2 stitches down here at the end. And then on row 3, we'll just come back and do the same thing, increasing by 4 stitches. So just work even in single crochet all the way. You can see kind of our little armhole shaping here. Okay, and after you finish these 2 rows, fasten off and we're ready to work the front. Okay, we're going to make sure we work the left front first. Okay, so you can see this is the back that we've worked. So when you turn, you're going to start from the neck edge. Okay, make sure you don't start on the opposite side or you will find your neckline building out facing away from the center. So start here on the left and join your main color. And you're going to single crochet the same number of stitches across that you did for the back. So for mine it was 9. So I'll just single crochet 9 all the way across to here. Okay, for row 2, chain 1 and single crochet evenly across. And then we're going to start working the neckline. At first it seemed like it was way too soon for me to start closing the neck, but once I had this finished, it actually works out really well. So when you get to the end, we're going to chain and that will start closing the gap. Okay, so after we work even, you're going to chain 5 and then turn. Okay, so for row 3, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. I was had trouble getting mine in that first one. Okay, and now the next 3 chains. So we're adding 4 stitches to the front. My yarn is not cooperating with me today. You can see it's been kind of tangling and stuff, and it's just, I had to kind of unravel it some and wrap it around. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to just single crochet. We're doing the shoulder shaping just like we did in the back. So only single crochet in the number on your pattern. So mine says 4 for this size. And we're doing that, so the weird short rows, so just do these stitches and leave the rest. Okay, so turn, chain 1, and single crochet across all of these stitches. So for me that will be 8. Okay, so after you work this last stitch, you're ready to fasten off. So go ahead and cut your yarn. And fasten off. And it's leaning towards the middle, towards the other saddle. Okay, so we've worked our left front here. We're going to work the right front to match. So go ahead and join your yarn at the armhole edge, our main color. Chain 1 and work the same number of stitches across. Okay, so once you've worked all the way across the number of stitches here, rows 2 and 3, you work evenly across. So go ahead and work across 2 and 3, and then we'll do our chains. Okay, so I've already had worked row 2 and then 3 to the end. Now we're going to chain 5. We're going to do the same thing we did on the left front. So single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and the next 3 chains. And remember, this is one of the rows that we're still working our shoulder shaping. So once you get to the end of these chains, you're going to single crochet just part of the way across, depending upon what size you're making. I'm going to single crochet 4 stitches across, and then I'm going to turn for the size that I'm making. And then we're going to work our joining row. Okay, we're ready to work our joining row and still working our shoulder shaping. So go ahead and chain 1, single crochet across these stitches. I have 8, so however many you have here. And then you're going to chain for the front neck edge. And so for my size, I'm going to chain 10. Okay, now we're going to grab our other edge here. And we're going to start working right here into these stitches. You're going to single crochet the number called for in your pattern, Mine calls for 11. So I'm going to single crochet 11. Now just like the back, when you get to this spot where you did the short rows, you'll just work all the way to the end of it. And then just step down into the next free stitch. That one has, right there, a stitch worked in it. So right here. And you should have 2 stitches left unworked for each size. Okay, for row 6, we're going to continue our shoulder shaping. So just chain 1, and you're going to single crochet all the way across these stitches we just worked and the chains. And you'll work across the desired number of stitches. For me, it was 34, so you can work all the way down to the end, and then you'll still have 2 stitches left at the end of that one that are not going to be worked on this row. Okay, so we're down here to the end. Work these last stitches. I see you'll have 2 left. And then we're going to turn, and you'll work all the way across to the end. And then the same thing, you'll turn and work back, and then you're going to work even in single crochet until it's the same length as the back before you started the armhole shaping. So back and forth, and then you work the armhole shaping exactly the same as the back. Okay, we've worked all the way down and added our armhole shaping, same as the back, and now we're ready to get our contrasting color. We're going to work that stripe on the lower body. So chain 1, and you're going to work all the stitches across the front. For my size now, I have 44. Okay, when you get down to the other end, you're going to chain either 4 or 6, depending on your size. Mine is the size 10, so I'm going to chain 4, which is my underarm. And then we're going to work the back, so kind of turn it here. And work right into that last stitch for your armhole shaping. And then work all the way across the back stitches. All right, when you get to this other end, you're going to chain again for your other underarm. So mine, I'm going to chain 4. And then you're going to join with the slip stitch to the very first. Okay, for row 2 and the rest of the rows of the body, we're going to single crochet evenly all the way around. You'll get the same number of stitches. So for size 10 that I'm making, I'm going to have 96 stitches on each round. And we'll join at the end and turn because we want the same look. You may have to work back and forth at the upper body part. It would look strange if all of a sudden you start working single crochet in the round since it doesn't look the same. So we're going to make sure that we join and turn. Now you're working 12 rounds in the contrasting color and then changing to the main color. Work all the way around, join here until the proper measurement. For mine, it'll be 9 3/4 inches from the join. So you measure from this row right here. And then you change back to your contrasting color and work one more round in single crochet. You can see here that I have worked mine down to this proper measurement and I've worked one row in contrasting color. So now it's time. I'm going to join. I'm going ahead and using my smaller hook because I'm going to need it for the ribbing. And then we're going to chain and either 9 or 11 depending upon the size that you're making. Okay, now you're going to see we half double crochet in the third chain from the hook. And then work your way down to the last chain. Okay, when you get down to the last one, you're going to half double crochet 2 together in this last chain and the next stitch of the body. So this next one right here, and then pull through all the loops. And now slip stitch in the next stitch of the body. Chain 1 and turn. And then half double crochet. Now this is the where we chained 1 and then there's where you turn. So you make sure that you're putting it in the right place. One thing that's a little bit difficult there because sometimes that last that people want to go into the chain 1 or the kind of that joining that we made. So just make sure, I have to count my rows pretty much every time, that you have the same number of stitches. And so you're going to work back across. And don't forget to work into the little chain 2, and then you're going to turn. And we're going to have to crochet back loop only. We're working the back loop only of each of these chains. Now the first chain 2 counts as that first stitch, so skip it. And then when you get to the end, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to connect it to the body with that half double crochet 2 together. Okay, so that last stitch, catch the back loop only a bit. Sometimes I have a tendency to kind of hide away in there. And then the next stitch of the body. Oh, forgot to yarn over. Then slip stitch into the next stitch. Chain 1 and turn. You're just going to repeat this back and forth until you get all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, now we're ready to work the sleeve. And right here, you can see my underarm stitches. I had 4. So you're going to work these 2 that are over to the left. So join your yarn right here. If you're working the 12, you'll have 6 stitches. So make sure you're joining in that third one. Okay, main color and larger hook. Chain 1, and now we're going to work these 2. And now you're going to work evenly to the saddle edge, which pretty much for the sizes that I've made ends up being about every other row. So you can work into the body that way. For this size, I'm going to do 13 stitches to the saddle edge. So like I said, just work kind of every other row. You can see I know my yarn's kind of dark. This is the color my son wanted. Okay, when you get to the saddle, now you're going to work across the stitches of your saddle, and I have 10, so I'm going to work 10 stitches, but I found that this row, it gets pretty tight, so I grab my smaller hook, and this might help you out, and that way I can work it into these smaller stitches. So I'm going to work right here, but I'm going to try to make it kind of loose. So work across the stitches of your saddle. Okay, now I'm changing to my larger hook again, and I'll continue with it the rest of the sleeve till the ribbing. And now again, you work the same number of stitches down to the base of the armhole. So for me, this was 13. Okay, get in here, you should have the same number of stitches. I had 2 before on my base of my armhole, and I have 2 again. So work these. And now we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch and turn. Now when you work even on the rows that it calls for, you'll definitely have to check your written pattern for this because it's different for each size. You're just going to chain 1 and work the same number of stitches around and join with a slip stitch and turn. So you'll work this for all the rows when it says to work even in single crochet. Okay, so anytime it says to work a decrease round, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to single crochet 2 together these first 2 stitches, and then you'll work even all the way back to the last 2 stitches and single crochet 2 together again in the last 2. So you're decreasing 2 stitches on each round that it calls for a decrease. Okay, so here we are at the end of a decrease round. I'll go ahead and show you. You just single crochet 2 together in these last 2 stitches. And then join with the slip stitch and turn. Okay, so work the sleeve the way it is in the written pattern, working even for a certain number of rows and then decreasing. And then when you get to the end, you're going to work that 1 row in the contrasting color, and the ribbing will be worked the same technique as the body of it. Okay, so you'll work all the way down, 1 row contrasting color, and then work that back and forth rows of the ribbing just like you did the bottom of the body. Okay, we're almost done. Now we just need the collar. So join the main color with your larger hook right behind the right saddle. So the right back area. Okay, and then chain 1. And we're just going to single crochet evenly around with our main color. So just work around the back, across the left saddle, around the front, and across the right saddle, and join with a slip stitch. Okay, so just continue this around till you reach. Okay, so I've gone around with mine. I've got 1 more stitch that I need to do. And I'm ready to join. Okay, I'm going to join my contrasting color because I want 1 nice row of my contrasting color here. Leave your main color connected so you can do the ribbing with it. Turn, chain 1, and just work a single crochet in each single crochet from the last row. Okay, so I tied mine up. Now I'm just going to work single crochet all the way around. It'll be easier this time because you have your stitches from the last round to go on. So work all the way around back to here. Okay, we're ready to work our ribbing. So we're going to join, pick up our main color again, change to our smaller hook, and the collar is very small. It's only 4 stitches. I'm going to cut this yarn off. So you're going to just chain 5. Have double crochet in the third chain from the hook. In the next chain. And now we're going to work the same technique that we worked before. So have double crochet 2 together, this last chain, and the next stitch of the body. Okay, I'm going to turn mine here. It's getting in the way. And then slip stitch, chain 1, and then work your 4 stitches across. Okay, so it's just the same technique we worked on the bottom hem and on the sleeve hems. Okay, so just continue this all the way around and then seam up your ribbing.